Why you wouldn't last a day on the ancient silk. So, you think you'd last a day on the ancient Silk Road? That's cute. Genuinely. I mean, it's adorable. Like watching a kitten try to fight its own reflection. You've read some books, maybe watched a documentary with sweeping desert shots and dramatic music. You've got this romantic image in your head. Caravans of silk-laden camels, exotic spices, mysterious strangers swapping stories by firelight. You imagine yourself striding through it all, a capable adventurer, a time-traveling tourist with modern knowledge and a can-do attitude. Let me disabuse you of that notion right now, thoroughly, completely, and in excruciating detail. By the time I'm done, you'll understand that you wouldn't even make it to noon on your first day. Not because you're weak, necessarily, because you're a product of a world so fundamentally different that your entire operating system is incompatible with that reality. You're a smartphone trying to interface with a stone tablet. Let's start with the moment of arrival. Let's pretend, because we're being generous, that you just pop into existence somewhere along the route. Maybe Dunhuang, maybe Samarkand, maybe the middle of the Taklamakan. The very first thing that hits you is the smell. You've never smelled this before. The modern world is sanitized. Even our bad smells are managed, contained, filtered. This is a full-spectrum olfactory assault. The first layer is dust. Ancient, primordial dust that hasn't known rain for years. Fine as talcum powder that gets into every crease of your body. But the dust carries notes. Dried animal dung, both fresh and ancient, from camels, donkeys, horses, the pungent inner ammoniac tang of urine-soaked earth where caravans have rested for centuries. Then there's the human smell. Not the polite, deodorized, shower-fresh scent of a modern gym. Unwashed bodies, months into a journey, sweat layered upon sweat, hair matted with grease and sand, breath soured by strange diets and rotting teeth. The rancid fat of sheep tail oil smeared on skin for protection against the sun, garlic seeping from every pore, the metallic tang of blood from a freshly butchered animal somewhere nearby. Cooking fires burning dried scrub brush, releasing a harsh, acrid smoke that will coat your lungs. Spices, yes, cinnamon, cumin, pepper, but so heavily concentrated they become almost toxic, mixed with the stench of hide being tanned, fermented milk products, and the pervasive, sweet rot of things decaying in hidden corners. This smell isn't just unpleasant, it's a physical force. It triggers an ancient part of your brain that screams contamination, disease, danger, you'll gag, you'll retch. And that's just your first breath. You haven't even taken a step yet. Look down. What are you wearing? Your trusty hiking boots? Modern synthetic fabrics? Breathable? Moisture-wicking? Already you're a target. Not for robbery, yet, but for nature. The ground is not ground as you understand it. It's not dirt. It's not trail. It's a constantly shifting, abrasive, living entity. Sharp rocks, some volcanic, will shred your boot soles in days. Sand will infiltrate every stitch and seam, abrading your feet into raw meat. You think blisters from a weekend hike are bad? Try blisters that become infected because you can't keep them clean. Because every particle of that ancient dust is teeming with bacteria your immune system has never encountered. Your fancy socks will be shredded in hours. Your only pair will never dry. But let's say you're sensible. You've got period-appropriate clothing, right? You've managed to acquire a woolen tunic, some baggy trousers, a sheepskin coat. Do you know how to wear it? Do you know how to layer it so you don't freeze when the sun goes down and roast when it's up? Do you know which seams will rub you raw when you walk 20 miles in them, day after day? Do you know how to mend a tear with sinew and a bone needle? Do you even know how to sit down in these clothes without exposing yourself or getting tangled? You'll look like a fool, walk like a fool, and within hours your soft, desk-bound body will be one giant chafe mark. Your skin, pampered by a lifetime of climate control and moisturizer, will crack in the 0% humidity. Your lips will split open, your nose will bleed from the dryness, your eyes, unprotected by the goggles you forgot, will be sandblasted. The sun, unfiltered by any pollution layer, will sear you. You'll be sunburned in 20 minutes. Not the pink red of a beach holiday. A blistering second-degree burn that weeps yellow fluid and invites flies to lay eggs in the blisters. Because yes, there are flies, clouds of them everywhere. They don't know you're a time traveler. They just know you're a walking wound. And you're thirsty. My God, you're already thirsty. The arid environment is sucking moisture out of you with every exhale. Modern people are chronically dehydrated anyway, but in your world, water is a tap away. Here, water is currency. Water is life. Water is a heavy, perishable burden you must carry or die. You see that goatskin water bag in your hand? You don't know how to use it. You'll spill half of it trying to drink. The water inside isn't the reverse osmosis, UV-filtered, flavor-enhanced stuff you're used to. It came from a well that was dug maybe 1,000 years before you were born. It's brackish, alkaline, mineral-heavy. It tastes of the mud and the animals that have drunk from the same trough. It's full of particles. You'll look at it with suspicion, your gut clenching, and you know you can't just glug it down. You have to ration, but your body is screaming for hydration, and your brain, conditioned for instant gratification, will demand you drink. If you guzzle it, you'll run out before the first quarter of the day is over. Then you'll experience a thirst so profound, so all-consuming, it will drive every rational thought out of your head. You'll dream of water, you'll hallucinate rivers, and you'll start doing stupid things, like drinking from a brackish, stagnant puddle that's been a toilet for every animal for miles. Congratulations! You now have dysentery. Not the mild British king tummy trouble kind. The kind that empties your body of every last drop of fluid from both ends, simultaneously, while you squat in the open, too weak to swat the flies away. And you don't have oral rehydration salts. You don't have a clean bathroom. You don't have toilet paper. You have your left hand in some sand. If you're lucky, you'll die of dehydration before the infection truly takes hold. If you're unlucky, the cramps will twist you into a fetal ball, and you'll lie in your own filth for days, getting weaker and weaker, until a passing jackal takes an experimental bite out of your calf while you're still conscious enough to feel it. But you're not even at the dysentery part yet. You're still in the first hour. You're staring at a camel, and the camel is staring back at you with an expression of pure, undiluted contempt. You think camels are gentle, placid beasts of burden because you rode one at a petting zoo once. That was a broken-spirited creature. This is a living, breathing, 2,000-pound ship of the desert that has its own opinions, its own deeply held grudges, and a casual disregard for human comfort. It can bite your head like a grape, kick in any direction with surgical precision, and it spits a stomach-content-laden goo that is so foul it can cause temporary blindness. You have to load this creature. Do you know how to tie a proper knot that won't slip, strangle the animal, and spill your entire livelihood across the desert floor when you're a day from water? Of course you don't. You've never tied a camel hitch in your life. You'll try some ridiculous Boy Scout knot. The camel driver who speaks a dialect of Sogdian you've never even heard a recording of is watching you. He's not going to help. He's already decided you're a liability, an ill-omened spirit, a cursed fool who will get everyone killed. To him, you're not a fascinating anachronism. You're dead weight. He's calculating how much he can sell your gear for after you drop dead. Your clumsy attempts to load the camel will spook it. It will bellow, a sound like a dying demon, and lunge. It might crush your foot. If it runs off, you've just lost your transport and 50% of your chances of survival. If it's carrying water, goodbye. And let's say by some miracle you get the camel loaded. Now you have to walk. The caravan doesn't ride. Only the sick, the wealthy, or the very old ride. You are none of those. You walk. The pace is steady, rhythmic, relentless. 20 to 30 miles a day, every day, for months. Your soft, city-dwelling feet, even in the best boots, will feel every jagged stone. Your hips will ache. Your back will scream. But that's just the beginning. The landscape is utterly alien. You think the desert is sand dunes, beautiful and golden? That's maybe 5% of what the Silk Road crosses. You're dealing with the Gobi, the Taklamakan, the Kizilkum. Desert means abandoned, a place left empty. You'll be walking on a hard, sun-baked crust of pebbles called Gobi. Hundreds of miles of it, featureless, that sends reflected heat upwards to cook you like an oven. Gravel plains so vast you lose all sense of scale. Salt flats that crack into sharp, serrated plates that will slice open your boots and the feet within. Stony mountain passes at 15,000 feet, where the air is so thin you'll be gasping like a landed fish. Your heart hammering, your head splitting with altitude sickness, your lungs burning with a cold so intense it freezes the snot in your nostrils. You'll climb up hairpin switchbacks that a mountain goat would think twice about. 1,000-foot drop on one side, a rock wall on the other, with a howling wind trying to peel you off and throw you into the abyss. You'll then descend into a desert basin, 150 feet below sea level, a heat sink where the temperature can reach 130 degrees Fahrenheit. You, with your soft pink skin and inability to thermoregulate. You'll sweat. You'll lose salts you can't replace. You'll get heat stroke. Your brain will literally start to cook in its own casing. You'll become confused, agitated, stop making sense. You'll wander off the trail, drawn by a mirage. Your last conscious thought, a delusion of a cool, blue lake. They'll find your desiccated husk days later, picked clean by vultures, your eyes gone, your mouth frozen in a rictus of terminal thirst. And that's just the weather. Because the Silk Road isn't a road. It's a network of shifting, treacherous routes, and the biggest killer isn't the desert. It's the people in it. You think you'd be greeted by friendly merchants? You might be if you're lucky, but more likely, you're a target. You're a walking, naive, clueless bag of valuable potential. You have no tribe, no patron, no reputation, no language, no muscle. You're a ghost who's appeared from nowhere. Why wouldn't a group of bandits descend on you? You're thinking of the charming rogues from the stories. The reality is brutal. They'll kill you for your boots. Not even your coin, your boots. That pair of modern hiking boots is irreplaceable, and a nomad chief would love them. They'll slit your throat and leave you bleeding out in a ravine. Or they might not kill you right away. They might sell you. The slave trade was massive on the Silk Road. You, a healthy body with no local ties, no one to avenge you, are a walking commodity. You could be yoked to a cart, marched to a market town, and sold as a field hand, a household drudge, or worse. Your modern concepts of freedom, human rights, law, none of it exists. Your property. If you're a woman, your situation is infinitely more terrifying. You have no autonomy. You are a possession to be moved, traded, violated, and cast aside. Your modern attitude, your instinct to talk back, to demand respect, to assert your personhood, that will get a bone broken so fast. That will get you killed, or worse. They don't share your cultural framework. They won't listen to reason. They'll see defiance, and they'll beat it out of you with a camel stick. In a world without antibiotics, a simple beating that breaks the skin can mean a slow death from sepsis. A broken arm becomes a useless, gangrenous limb that needs to be amputated with a saw and no anesthesia. You'll be held down, drunk on cheap alcohol, and a blacksmith will take your arm off while you shriek until your voice breaks. And you'll likely die anyway. But maybe you avoid bandits and slavers. Maybe you manage to attach yourself to a caravan as a piece of human flotsam. A curiosity they tolerate for their own amusement. Now you have to eat. You're starving, you've walked 15 miles, and someone hands you a bowl of something. What is it? Boiled mutton, probably. The fattiest tail fat, gristly, with the texture of boiled sponge and a smell that will flip your vegan kale smoothie stomach. There's a chunk of bread so hard you could crack a tooth on it. You have to soak it in the greasy broth. They'll offer you tea, but it's tea with salt and yak butter churned into it. A rancid, salty, greasy soup that they swear will keep you warm. Your palate, accustomed to sugar and artificial flavors, will rebel. You'll want to vomit, but you can't refuse. Refusing hospitality is a mortal insult. You have to eat. You'll swallow it down, your throat spasming. Later, you'll be offered kumis, fermented mare's milk, slightly alcoholic, sour and fizzy. Your gut, with its carefully curated microbiome of probiotic yogurt brands, is not ready for the bacterial onslaught of Central Asian dairy. The cramps will be immediate and violent. Your body will violently expel this foreign life. You'll be doubled over behind a scraggly bush while your new comrades laugh at the weak foreigner who can't hold his milk. And you'll be weaker, further dehydrated, a drain on the group's resources. They'll start thinking about leaving you behind. A liability, remember? You try to make conversation. You mime, you smile, you use the few words you think you know. They stare at you blankly. You're speaking the wrong language. You thought everyone spoke some version of Chinese or maybe Persian, but you're in a town where they speak a dialect of Tocharian, a language that's been dead for 1,000 years and you've never even heard of. Or maybe Sogdian, Bactrian, Khotanese Saka, Gandhari Prakrit, Old Uyghur. The linguistic landscape is a mosaic of mutually unintelligible tongues. Your phrasebook is useless. Your miming could be an obscene gesture for all you know. You can't read the signs, you can't understand the prices, you can't ask for help. You are functionally a deaf mute. This isolation will be more crushing than you can imagine. Human connection is a survival tool. You have none. You'll trust the wrong person because they smiled at you, and wake up robbed or not wake up at all. You'll misunderstand a local custom. Someone will say something to you, you'll nod blankly, and suddenly you've agreed to a debt you can't repay, or insulted a man's ancestors so grievously that he's drawing a knife. In a culture where honor is law, a misplaced word, a wrong glance, an accidental touch, these are capital offenses. You don't know the rules. You're playing a game where the penalty for a foul is death, and you've never even seen a rule book. As the day wears on, the fatigue will get you. Not the kind of fatigue you know, where you yawn and think about a cup of coffee. Existential, full system shutdown. The sun saps you. The altitude and the constant vigilance drain you. You'll find yourself stumbling. Your mind plays tricks. You'll see things that aren't there. The shimmering heat haze becomes a wall of water. The howl of the wind becomes voices. You'll start talking to yourself. You'll get careless. You'll step on a stone that shifts, twist your ankle, hear a sickening pop. A sprain. In your world, it's an inconvenience. A trip to the urgent care. Here, it's a death sentence. You can't walk. You can't keep up. The caravan cannot wait. Time is dictated by oases and seasons. A delay of even a day can mean the difference between life and death if the next well is dry. They will not wait for you. They will look at you, lying in the dirt, clutching your swollen ankle, tears cutting tracks through the grime on your face. There will be a brief discussion in a language you don't understand. Maybe someone argues for you. Maybe they have a sliver of pity. But pragmatism wins. They'll leave you some water, maybe a scrap of food. They'll point in the direction they're going, and they'll leave. You'll watch the string of camels disappear into the shimmering distance, their bells a fading, mocking jingle. And you'll be alone. Truly, utterly alone. Just you, the wind, the endless, uncaring sky, and the complete certainty that you are about to die. Your mind will shatter. All your modern coping mechanisms, the phone with no signal, the playlist, the comfort food, the therapist's voice in your head, they're gone. You'll be reduced to the animal basics of your being. You'll feel fear more purely than you ever thought possible. The loneliness is a physical weight. The silence is absolute, a roaring in your ears. You'll start to cry and the tears will waste precious salt and water. Your ankle throbs, the sun begins its descent, and the temperature plummets. The desert gives up its heat in an instant. You were sweating in a 100-degree furnace. Now you're shivering in near-freezing cold. You have no shelter, no way to make a fire. The camel driver took the flint. You don't know how to build a fire from camel dung and wind-flattened scrub, even if you had a lighter. You'll curl up in a ball, trying to conserve warmth. Your injured legs screaming. The shivering becomes violent, uncontrollable. You'll start to lose feeling in your fingers and toes. Hypothermia in the desert. A concept so absurd to your modern mind you'd laugh if you could. You feel an overwhelming sleepiness. A part of your brain whispers that this is the end. Sleep is death. You know this, but you're so tired, so cold, so broken. The stars come out, unbelievable, bright, a wash of diamonds more brilliant than you've ever seen because there's zero light pollution. You see the Milky Way in its full glory. It is incomprehensibly vast, infinitely cold, and indifferent. You are a tiny fleeting speck of biological matter on a ball of rock. In that moment, you will understand your place in the universe with a clarity no modern human can ever have, and it will break whatever is left of your spirit. And the night is not empty. You hear things, a rustle, a slither. The scorpions come out, the camel spiders, fast and huge enough to make you shriek in primal terror. Snakes hunt the rodents that have come to nibble on the crumbs you dropped. Jackals begin their eerie, screaming calls, sounding like a pack of demented children. You'll picture them circling closer, scenting easy prey. Your flesh crawls. You're a flight animal with no flight left. You'll flinch at every sound. Sleep, if it comes at all, will be a micro nap of pure terror, from which you'll wake disoriented, believing you're safe in your bed for a split second before the crushing reality slams back into your chest. You'll pray. You don't believe in any gods, but you'll pray to every deity you've ever heard of. Bargain with the universe. Sob apologies for every bad thing you've ever done. None of it will matter. The dawn will come, brutally cold, then rapidly scorching. You're still alive. A perverse hope kindles. Maybe someone will come. You'll take stock. Your water is almost gone. You're desperately thirsty. Your ankle's the size of a melon, purple and throbbing. You can't put weight on it. Your only hope is to crawl. You'll start crawling. Towards where? You don't know. You'll follow the caravan's tracks until the shifting sand erases them. Your knees and hands will be shredded. The sun climbs, the heat returns. You'll soon be crawling on your belly, a pathetic, dying worm. The thirst becomes a madness. Your tongue swells in your mouth. You'll remember that you can drink your own urine. You'll try. It will make you gag. You'll vomit the little fluid left in you, making things worse. You'll try to dig for water in a dry riverbed, like you saw in a movie. You'll dig until your fingernails tear off, finding nothing but hot, dry sand. Maybe this is when the hallucinations truly take over. You'll have full conversations with people who aren't there. You'll see your mother, your spouse, holding out a glass of ice water. You'll try to crawl to them. They'll vanish. The landscape will morph. The rocks become faces. The shimmering heat resolves into a busy city street with trees, a flowing river. You'll use your last reserves of energy to drag yourself towards it, only for it to dissolve into another heartless gravel plain. This is the fabled desert of the mind closing in. But there's another way you could go. Let's rewind to the village you stopped at. You drank the water, you got dysentery. Your body, weakened, is now open to everything else. Cholera, typhoid, typhus, the fleas on your body. Yes, you're crawling with lice and fleas now. You can feel them in your hair, in your seams. They carry Yersinia pestis, the plague, the Black Death. You won't know you have it until the lymph nodes in your armpits and groin swell into buboes, agonizingly painful, pulsing with infection. Your skin will turn black as tissue dies. Your fever will spike so high you'll have seizures. You'll be delirious, moaning, and everyone will flee from you. No one will touch you. You'll die in a gutter. A plague corpse to be burned? Or perhaps it's smallpox. You've been vaccinated? Maybe, but the variola major of the 8th century is a wild, raging beast, and your vaccine, generations removed from the original cowpox, might not hold. The pustules will erupt inside your mouth, your throat, your eyes, covering your entire body in a thick, hard rash that turns you into a single weeping sore. Each breath is agony. You can't swallow. You're drowning in your own fluids. The smell of a smallpox ward, a tent on the edge of town, is something you will never be able to unsmell. A unique mixture of pus, blood, and rot. You'll be dumped there with the others, the living dead, waiting for the end. Maybe you survived the disease. Now you are blind. Smallpox has a tendency to take the eyes. Now you are a blind beggar in a world with no social safety net, no braille, no guide dogs, no disability rights. You'll sit in the dust of a marketplace, holding out a bowl. Your world is the sounds of a language you don't speak, the smell of unwashed feet passing by, and the occasional kick from a child who thinks tormenting the blind is sport. You'll starve to death slowly, no longer even a person, just a broken piece of human refuse. We haven't even talked about the food poisoning from the meat that's been hanging in the sun. Botulism, the progressive paralysis that starts with your eyes, so you see double, then can't swallow, then can't breathe, while your mind remains perfectly lucid, trapped in a body that is shutting down, suffocating in slow motion. You'll be conscious for your own death, staring at a goat hair tent ceiling, unable to move a finger. But you didn't even get that far. Let's go back to your first conversation. You tried to haggle. You don't know how. The bazaar is a deafening roar. You're trying to buy a piece of melon, a moment of sweet relief. A merchant names a price in a currency you don't understand, using a weight system, dirhams, mythicals, silver ingots that is a mystery to you. You hold out a coin. He laughs. It's the wrong coin, an alloy he doesn't accept, or a coin from a kingdom 3 centuries later than when you are. You've just outed yourself as a counterfeiter, a spy, or a madman. The crowd closes in. They grab you. Someone produces a rusty sword. Spy, they shout. You have no way to explain. Your stammering English, your tourist Mandarin, your schoolboy French, all useless. They'll drag you to the local magistrate, a man whose justice is swift, physical, and not interested in paradoxes. He'll take one look at your strange clothing, your terrified face, your inability to speak, and pronounce you a demon or a thief. Punishment? For theft on the Silk Road? They will take your hand. They'll hold it down on a blood-stained wooden block and bring a cleaver down. You'll watch your own hand, your beautiful, articulate, iPad-swiping hand, separate from your arm in a shower of crimson. The shock will be so total you might not even scream at first. Then the realization will hit, and you'll scream enough for a lifetime. The stump will be plunged into boiling tar to cauterize it. The pain is indescribable, a white-hot lightning bolt that arcs through your soul. If you survive the shock in the infection, you are now physically branded as a criminal, a one-handed outcast in a world where manual labor is survival. You'll be a living warning to others. Oh, and the animals. You thought the camel was bad. What about the other creatures? The ticks that carry Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, which causes you to bleed from your eyes, your gums, your skin, your every orifice, turning you into a leaking bag of blood until you die. The guard dogs of the caravanserai that are the size of wolves, bred for centuries to kill intruders. They will not be charmed by your "who's a good boy" voice. They see you as a threat, one lunge, a savaging bite, and you're a dead man even if the bite itself isn't fatal, because the animal's mouth is a septic pit. No rabies shot, no tetanus booster, no stitches. Just a slow, painful end from lockjaw, where your muscles seize up so hard you can't open your mouth, you can't swallow, your back arches until your spine snaps. Rabies is another gift from a dog bite, or a bat, or a fox. You'll be fine for weeks, the wound healing, you think you've dodged a bullet. Then the headaches start, the anxiety, the confusion. The thirst becomes unbearable, but you can't drink because swallowing throws you into agonizing spasms. The sight of water becomes a trigger for terror, hydrophobia. You'll convulse, hallucinate, foam at the mouth, and die in a straitjacket of your own muscles. There is no cure. You're also contending with the sheer physicality of travel. The pack on your back, even a light one, becomes an instrument of torture. The straps cut into shoulders unaccustomed to carrying anything heavier than a laptop. You'll develop sores, your spine compresses. Every stone you step on sends a jolt into your skeleton. You'll fall a lot. You'll tumble down a scree slope and open a deep gash in your shin. You'll look at the wound. You can see the white of bone. You're miles from anywhere. You have no first aid kit. You tear a strip from your already filthy tunic to bind it, introducing a laundry list of bacteria directly into the wound. The pain is a pulsing drumbeat. You can't stop. You have to keep moving. Every step, the wound tears open a little more. It becomes hot, red, swollen. Red streaks start marching up your leg. Septicemia. Your blood is poisoning you. Your body will try to fight it with fever, making you weaker. Your breath becomes short. Your mind fogs. You sit down on a rock. You don't get up. The creeping systemic infection shuts down your organs one by one. First the kidneys, then the liver. You slip into a coma and die, and no one ever finds your bones because the animals scatter them across a square mile of wasteland. Your entire existence, everything you are and have ever been, is reduced to a few sun-bleached fragments that might be found by a future archaeologist who will puzzle over the strange metal filling in your tooth. But maybe you're tough. You're a survivor. You evade bandits, you master the camel, your gut adjusts to the food, you learn a few words of Sogdian, you make a friend, a fellow traveler perhaps, a grizzled old merchant with kind eyes. He teaches you the ropes. You feel a glimmer of hope. You are actually doing it. You are walking the Silk Road. Then a sandstorm hits. Not the Hollywood kind where you just wrap a scarf around your face and lean into the wind. A real sandstorm. A black wall of death that blots out the sun, a roaring, shrieking monster of grit and fury. The wind is so strong it picks up pebbles and flings them like shot. The sand gets into everything, under your eyelids, between your teeth, down your throat, into your lungs. You can't see a hand in front of your face. You can't hear. You can't breathe without choking. The caravan scatters. Camels panic. Your kind old friend is suddenly indistinguishable from the howling brown chaos. You'll be separated in seconds. You'll try to find shelter, but there is none. You'll curl up on the ground, covering your head, and wait. The storm can last for hours, sometimes days. You'll feel yourself being buried alive, the sand piling up around you, weight pressing down. The panic is absolute. You'll struggle, and the more you struggle, the more sand you inhale. You'll be suffocated, entombed in a moving dune, never to be seen again. Your body, perfectly preserved by the arid environment, might be uncovered in 1,000 years. A mummified testament to your own arrogance. Even without the sandstorm, the route itself is a killer. You'll have to cross rivers, not rivers with bridges. Icy, glacial, meltwater torrents rushing down from the Pamirs. You will have to ford them. The water is thigh-deep, moving with a terrifying force. So cold it feels like your legs are being crushed in a vice. The rocks underfoot are slippery, boulders worn smooth. One misstep and you're under. The freezing water closes over your head, the shock stopping your heart, or you're swept away, your heavy woolen clothes pulling you down like an anchor, smashed against the rocks until your head cracks open. If you make it across, you have the problem of being soaking wet in a freezing wind. Hypothermia is patiently waiting on the other bank, ready to welcome you into its fatal, sleepy embrace. And the official dangers, the checkpoints, the local lords who extort tolls that are nothing but robbery with a legal veneer. You have no papers, no paisa, no imperial decree, no letter of passage. You are a non-person. You can't prove you're a merchant, a monk, or an envoy. Why are you here? You can't answer. You'll be thrown in a pit, a hole in the ground, a dungeon where you'll be forgotten. If you're very unlucky, you'll be conscripted into a labor gang, forced to work on a mad ruler's building project until your body gives out. The Great Wall was being extended and maintained. Armies of laborers, many of them prisoners, died like flies. You'll break rocks in a quarry, haul stones on your back up cruel ramps, under the lash of an overseer who sees you as an animal. Your body will fail swiftly. You'll be tossed in a mass grave, your name and story utterly annihilated. The sheer psychological horror of being a time-displaced person is another thing entirely. You think you'd handle it? The isolation, the lack of any familiar reference point, the constant grinding terror of exposure, starvation, or murder. You'd lose your mind long before the physical threats kill you. You'd become psychotic. You'd run screaming into the desert, shedding your clothes, laughing, until you collapsed from heat stroke. Your mind, built on a foundation of predictable modernity, would simply crack. There's a reason why solitary confinement is considered torture. The Silk Road is solitude in a crowd, a sea of faces who see you as alien. Your entire worldview, your belief in progress, in science, in the basic decency of humankind, it will all be stripped away, replaced by a primitive, all-consuming fear. You'll watch people die casually around you and know that you are next. Now, you might be thinking about all the survival shows you've watched. Bear Grylls, Survivorman. You know how to filter water through your shirt, how to start a fire with a bow drill. Let me stop you there. Trying to start a fire with a bow drill when your life depends on it, with materials you've never practiced with, In a dry as tinder and yet somehow still weirdly uncooperative environment with shaking, exhausted muscles is a recipe for despair. You will scrape and spin and push until your palms bleed, producing a puff of wispy smoke that never catches while the sun sets and the cold comes on. It requires a specific kind of wood, a specific kind of tinder fungus, a precise technique that takes weeks to master. You don't have it. Your modern tinder is useless here. And filtering water through your shirt? Great. You'll filter out the big chunks while the microscopic cysts, the cryptosporidium, the giardia, pass right through the weave and set up shop in your gut, still leaving you with explosive diarrhea. That knowledge is a tease, a dangerous illusion of competence. It's just enough to get you into trouble, not out of it. And weapons. You thought you'd bring a knife? A knife is a tool, but using it as a weapon against someone who has been fighting with blades since they were a child is suicide. They will disarm you and use your own knife to gut you. You have no killer instinct. You have been socialized in a world where violence is aberrant, sanitized, kept at a distance. Here, violence is the norm. A dispute over a cup of water can end in a man's throat being cut, and no one will blink. You will hesitate. The moment you hesitate, you're dead. Your morality is a luxury you cannot afford. The psychological gulf between you and the people of this era is unbridgeable. They might seem simple, but their understanding of survival, of human nature, of life and death is so far beyond your modern, curated understanding that you are a newborn in a world of wolves. You cannot learn fast enough. The lessons are fatal. Consider the simple act of sleeping. Where do you sleep? In a caravanserai? A public room filled with dozens of snoring, farting, coughing men, their animals just outside, the fleas and lice jumping from host to host. The dirt floor is alive with vermin. You'll be lucky if you wake up with your boots. You'll try to sleep with one eye open, but exhaustion will claim you, and you'll descend into a nightmare-filled unconsciousness. Out in the open, you're a meal for predators. In a tent, you're a potential target for robbers who'll slit the canvas open. Sleep is a truce you sign with death every night, and you never know if it will honor it. You will never feel safe. The constant low-level adrenaline dump will exhaust your adrenal glands. You'll become jittery, paranoid, making irrational decisions. You'll alienate allies. You'll sleepwalk through the day, making mistakes. One mistake is all it takes. A misstep on a narrow path, a poorly tied knot on a load. A failure to notice the tracks of a band of riders. You don't get a second chance. And the food again. It's not just the illness, it's the sheer monotony and lack of nutrients. You'll develop scurvy within weeks if you're not getting fresh fruits. Your gums will bleed and your teeth will loosen. Pellagra from a lack of niacin, giving you the 4Ds: dermatitis, diarrhea, dementia, death. Your skin will slough off in the sun. Your mind will dissolve into a psychotic mess. You'll become weak, anemic. Your modern body, reliant on a steady intake of vitamins, minerals, and specific macro balances, will literally fall apart. A simple cut won't heal, a bone break will never mend. The food you eat, millet gruel, unleavened rock-hard bread, rancid fat, is fuel, not nourishment. You'll dream of salads, of oranges, of a simple glass of clean water. Your body will start consuming itself. Muscle wasting, your frame shrinking, until you look like the walking skeleton you are on the inside. You'll lose your vision to vitamin A deficiency, stumble into danger, and be done for. Let's talk about the cold again. Truly cold. The winters. You'll be crossing a high pass, the wind a razor blade of ice. Your clothing, no matter how much sheepskin you wrap around yourself, has limits that modern synthetic insulation has made you forget. The cold seeps in. It finds the gaps, the moisture from your sweat. Your extremities will go numb. Your fingers, trying to grip a rope, are useless. White blocks of frozen flesh. Frostbite turns them black, hard, dead. The tissue rot will set in. A foul, wet gangrene. Your toes will snap off like dry twigs in your boots. But you won't feel it because the nerves are gone. You'll just see the black creeping up your foot. Smell the death of your own body. You can't walk anymore. The end, once again, is a cold, lonely, putrid one. And always the exhaustion. The bone-crushing, soul-destroying weariness of walking 8 to 12 hours a day, day after day, with insufficient calories and sleep, under extreme environmental stress. It's a fatigue that goes beyond tiredness. It's a cellular exhaustion. Your body will start making compromises, your immune system will shut down, inviting the latent tuberculosis that's been endemic in the caravanserai to activate in your lungs. You'll develop a cough that won't quit, a hacking, bloody spray that leaves you too weak to move. Consumption, they'll call it. You'll waste away, a pale specter, until one morning you just can't get up and you die, drowning in your own lung fluid. Or maybe it's dysentery that finally claims you, the siege that breaks the castle. You'll lose control of your bowels. You'll be soiling yourself, a disgusting, shitting mess, unable to clean up. The shame, the degradation is absolute. Dignity is the first thing stripped away on the Silk Road. You will be reduced to the basest, most animal state of being. A body processing itself, and it will be revolting. There is no 911. There is no rescue helicopter. There is no embassy to appeal to. There is no translator app. There is no credit card. There is no fresh water from a bottle. There is no climate-controlled environment. There is no medicine that works. There is no law that protects you. There is no concept of human rights. There is only the road, the sky, the bone-dry death of the desert, the cold murder of the mountains, the sharp steel of a bandit's knife, and the silent, relentless multiplication of bacteria and viruses your body has never seen. You are a soft, squeaking, overfed, under-exercised, over-civilized creature who has never once been truly hungry, never been truly cold, never been truly terrified for your life, for more than a fleeting second in a controlled environment. You've never had to take a life to keep your own, never had to watch someone die and wonder if you're next, never had to bury your waist in the sand and wipe with a stone. You've never had to walk 20 miles on a dislocated knee, never had to drink water with a living, wriggling worm in it and be grateful. You have never known real pain. The ancient Silk Road is a machine designed to chew up creatures exactly like you and spit out their polished bones. It is a gauntlet that the toughest people in history, our hardened, desperate, brilliant ancestors, barely survived. You, with your soft life and your arrogant fantasy, are a lamb wandering into a dragon's den, a mayfly contemplating the ocean, a single drop of rain trying to comprehend the fury of the desert. So no, you wouldn't last a day. You wouldn't even last the morning. You'd be dead before the sun reached its zenith, and the Silk Road would barely register your passing. You'd be just another anonymous set of bones, another cautionary tale whispered in caravanserai, another ghost in a land that has no shortage of them. The idea that you would last a day isn't just foolish, it's a profound misunderstanding of the magnitude of the gulf between your comfortable modern existence and the raw, merciless, absolute reality of survival on the most brutal trade route in human history. You are a leaf in a blast furnace. You are a bubble in a tidal wave. You are a whisper in a hurricane. You are already dead. You just haven't taken that first step yet. Any other questions? The absolute end. The last nail in the coffin of your delusion. After everything I've described, after the thirst, the sickness, the exhaustion, the violence, the crushing solitude, you think there's a conclusion. There is. And it's not a sunset ride into Samarkand with a bag of rubies and a knowing smile. It's the moment the Silk Road finishes digesting you, and you become nothing more than a stain on the gravel. A whisper of calcium in the sand. A forgotten anecdote over a fire that has long since gone cold. So here's your ending. Not a fade to black, but a final lingering shot of what remains of you after your one day, perhaps stretched into 2 or 3 if you were especially stubborn, finally runs out. Close your eyes and listen. The end begins with a silence so profound it has weight. The caravan's bells are gone. The last echo of human voices has been swallowed by distance. You are somewhere on the edge of the Taklamakan, face down in a dry wash that hasn't seen water since the Tang emperors were still a regional power. Your body has finally stopped fighting. The shivering ceased hours ago when your core temperature dropped below the threshold where your hypothalamus even bothers to try. Hypothermia in the desert night is a gentle killer, After the violence of the shakes comes a spreading liquid warmth. Your broken brain is telling you that you're comfortable. That's the lie your neurons sell as they flicker and die. You believe it because you have nothing left. The moon is up, a cold, bone-white crescent throwing razor-sharp shadows across the gravel. The stars, indifferent, continue their eternal blaze. Up there somewhere is the Perseus arm, the Andromeda smudge, a billion civilizations that will never know that a being who called themselves I has just ended in this patch of grit. The scale is insulting. You who fretted over quarterly reports and follower counts in the perfect avocado toast are now a cooling piece of organic debris, and the universe didn't even blink. The final part is this: you don't matter. Not here, not now. Your entire existence, your memories, your Netflix password, your inside jokes, your childhood trauma, your secret ambitions, all of it is a flicker of electrical activity that just shorted out in a dying brain. Dawn will come, the first rays of sun will strike your prone form, your skin, already blistered and cracked, will begin to desiccate. The air so dry it can mummify a corpse in weeks will start its work. Your eyes, open and staring, will turn to leathery marbles, then to hollow pits as the moisture evaporates and the sand beetles move in. The flies, God's most persistent heralds of rot, will have already found you. They'll lay their eggs in the wet parts that remain. The corners of your mouth, your nostrils, the wounds where the rocks sliced your legs. Within a day, you'll be a seething nursery of maggots, a feast of wriggling life born from death. That's the final part of your face, your handsome or pretty face that you washed with expensive cleansers. Now a writhing mass of larval protein. The jackals that howled through the night, the ones that kept you in a state of fetal terror, will approach at last with the sun. They're cautious, these creatures. They've learned to fear man, but you don't smell like a man anymore. You smell like meat. The boldest one will dart in, snap at your outstretched, frost-bitten hand. Your ring finger, the one with the heirloom ring, will come off in its jaws with a sound like a chicken bone snapping. He'll retreat with his prize, crunching happily while the others circle closer. They'll open your belly first, the softest part. The entrails, still holding traces of the contaminated water that started your final decline, will steam in the cold morning air. A feast, a banal, savage feast. There is no dignity in this. There is no noble death on the Silk Road. There is only the redistribution of biomass. Months later, a sandstorm will uncover what the jackals and vultures left behind. A scatter of bones, bleached white and porous, gnawed by the smaller creatures. The gerbils, the beetles, until every last ligament is gone. Your skull, disarticulated from the spine, will roll a few feet, gathering sand in its cavities. A trader, taking a shortcut to avoid the Karakitai patrols, might pause. He might poke your bones with the toe of his weathered boot. He won't wonder who you were. He won't ponder your dreams or your time-displaced tragedy. He'll just note a human skeleton and think, water must be far. Someone made a mistake. And then he'll walk on, because the dead are common on this road, as common as camel shit and ruined way stations. You're not a story. You're not a warning. You're not even a landmark. You're just one more set of bones in a 1,000-mile ossuary. The final part is your absolute anonymity. Your name, your history, your language, erased. The world you came from doesn't exist here, and the world you died in never knew you at all. But maybe you didn't die alone. Maybe you made it a few days, long enough to become someone's problem. Remember that pit I mentioned? The dungeon? Let's suppose you were captured, accused of being a spy, a demon, a madman. The final part of that story is you, deep in a lightless hole in the ground beneath a caravanserai on the frontier. The floor is mud and human excrement. There is a single iron ring in the wall and a chain around your ankle. The rust has already begun to eat into the raw skin. They threw you down here weeks ago. You've been fed a handful of millet gruel once a day, just enough to keep the organs ticking. You've drunk the water they've left you, brackish, oily with the taste of the leather bucket. You've gotten sicker. The dysentery never stopped. You've soiled the corner you sleep in. Your body is a skeleton draped in a loose, soiled tunic, covered in sores. Your hair is matted with filth, your beard crawling with lice. You've lost teeth, your gums bleed when you mash the gruel against them. You've talked to everyone you've ever loved out loud in the dark. You've had full conversations, wept, apologized, screamed. The echoes were your only reply. One day, the trapdoor above opens, a silhouette against the blinding square of sky. A rope ladder drops. You're hauled up, stinking, blinking, weeping at the light. You think you're being freed. You're not. You're being sold. Slaves are a commodity, and you've been kept alive long enough to be transported to the market, where a buyer might be found for a field hand, a manure shoveler, a disposable body. You'll be yoked to a line of other wretches, debtors, prisoners of war, kidnapped villagers. You'll be marched, naked or near naked, under the sun. The pace is relentless. If you stumble, the lash finds your back, opening new welts atop the old. You'll watch others fall. They don't get up. An arrow or a quick blade across the throat, and they're left for the vultures. You're just a walking sack of potential labor, and your value is less than that of the donkey ambling beside you. You'll end up in a field somewhere, an anonymous patch of irrigated earth in the Fergana Valley, or the edge of Sogdiana. Your job is to turn the soil. Day after day from before dawn until after dusk, your hands, already blistered and cracked, will close around a wooden plow handle or a hoe. Your back, already broken by the road, will stoop over the furrows. You'll be fed just enough to work. You'll sleep in a shed with the other slaves, bodies packed together for warmth, the chains never coming off entirely. You'll die there eventually, maybe in a year, maybe two. Your body will give out on a sweltering afternoon, a cough that won't quit, a heart that simply stops, or a fellow slave's fist in a dispute over a crust that splits your skull. Your body will be dumped in a midden outside the walls, and your bones will enrich the soil you once tilled. The final part? You've become the fertilizer that feeds the melons that some merchant will sell to another dreamer on the road. You are a closed loop of suffering and utility, and nothing more. Or perhaps disease was always your destined executioner, as it is for most. After days of parching heat, you collapsed at the gates of a small oasis town, a fly-blown cluster of mud brick hovels around a well. The locals, wary of strangers, dragged you to the quarantine tent, a place on the edge of town reserved for those who might be carrying the plague. Your lymph nodes have swollen into agonizing buboes, purple-black eggs lodged in your groin and armpits. Your fever is a furnace. You can't speak, you can barely see. The tent is a purgatory of moans and the sickly sweet smell of rotting flesh. There are others here. They die one by one. In your final hours, you'll be lying next to a corpse that has been dead for a day, its face a blackened mask of hemorrhagic horror. You'll try to cry out for your mother, some primal part of you regressing to infancy, but only a dry croak escapes. The fleas, leaping from the dead to the dying, will carry on their work, vectors of the apocalypse, indifferent to your modernity, your consciousness, your soul. When you finally die, your jaw agape, your skin blotched with the badge of the Black Death, they'll pile you with the others on a bonfire of dried dung and thorn bushes. The pyre will smoke greasily, a foul, dark column visible for miles across the desert, carrying particles of you into the atmosphere to settle on the next oasis down the line. You are airborne now. You are dust, ash, and a warning. But the truest final part, the most honest ending, is the one where you simply vanish. You walk over the wrong dune, disoriented by the heat shimmer, and you never find the path again. You wander in circles, the human body's cruel tendency when lost in featureless terrain, until your water is gone. You start eating things, a desert beetle, a handful of bitter, poisonous seeds that make you vomit, further dehydrating you. Your tongue swells until it fills your mouth like a dry sponge. You find a hollow of shade beneath a rock and you crawl into it, like an animal going to ground. You'll hallucinate your final visitors. A cool stream, your childhood pet, a figure you once loved. They'll beckon you into a light that isn't there, and you'll follow. Your body will remain in that hollow, perfectly still, a dried, mummified testament to your fatal arrogance. No one will ever find you. The sand will shift, the wind will bury you, You will be utterly erased from history, an unmarked grave in a graveyard the size of a continent. You wanted a final part? Here it is. There is no noble death. There is no lesson learned. There is no meaning. There is only the brutal, unsentimental machinery of a world that existed for millennia before you and will exist for millennia after. A world where survival is a razor-thin margin between luck and capability. And you, my friend, have neither. Your modern mind, designed for navigating social media algorithms and ordering delivery food, is a fragile, flickering candle in a gale of ancient, absolute darkness. The Silk Road doesn't care about your unique perspective. It doesn't care about your adventurous spirit. It doesn't care that you would have done things differently. It is a remorseless filter, a sieve that only a specific type of hardened human could ever hope to pass through. And that type of human was forged from birth in the crucible of suffering you can only read about. You are not them. You are an observer, a consumer of sanitized history, a soft creature who has confused the ability to imagine a thing with the ability to survive it. The final part of your story on the ancient Silk Road is that your story never truly begins. It ends at the very moment of arrival, the moment the smell hits you, the moment the sun sears your skin, the moment you take your first, last, faltering steps into a world that was never meant for you. You are a ghost the instant you appear, a dead man walking. A cautionary tale that won't even be told because there is no one left to tell it. You are bones. You are dust. You are nothing. And that, in the final, brutal, unvarnished truth, is why you wouldn't last a day. Not because you're weak, though you are. Not because you're ignorant, though that's a canyon you could never cross. But because the ancient Silk Road is a reality that devours the soft, and you are the softest thing that has ever dared to imagine otherwise. It is a machine that reduces the individual to a set of needs: water, food, shelter, safety. And the moment you fail to meet any one of them, the machine crushes you without malice, without ceremony, without memory. The final part is that the desert can swallow entire armies and leave no trace. What chance did you ever imagine you had? Close the book, turn off the documentary. The fantasy is over. You are already dead on the ancient Silk Road. You were dead the moment you thought you could survive it. And so with that absolute, unassailable, terminal truth, your story ends. Not with a period, but with a held breath. The final part is the silence, the empty horizon, the vanishing tracks, and you, a memory that fades before it is even formed. Goodbye, you never existed.